Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Tonight, on First at 9 this Saturday the 25th of January 2025. Arrested. Yoshita Rajapaksa, second son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department. Suspect to be remanded until the 27th of January. Still in play. Sri Lanka has not cancelled Adani Group's wind projects. Clarifies Minister. Claims government will amend agreements in the best interest of the country. Recovering assets. Switzerland pledges to support Sri Lanka in recovering stolen assets from abroad. Digital ID. Government is committed to implementing the digital national ID, assures Deputy Minister. Says people should be informed of the project to dispel misconceptions.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lankawama Kiren Perata. ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
කට්ට පරිස්සම් කරගත්තොත්
අපි පරිස්සම්.
Asian Paints Causeway Aquasafe වැස්සත් මට්ටුයි ගෙදරත් තිස්නේ.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9 on Sri Lanka's most trusted news source, Derana. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and from around the world. In your top story tonight, Yoshita Rajapaksa, the second son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, was arrested this morning by the Criminal Investigation Department and was placed under remand custody until the 27th of January. According to police, Rajapaksa is a suspect in the investigation into the purchase of a property of 34 million rupees in Ratmalana. Daisy Forrest, the grandmother of Yoshita Rajapaksa, is the primary suspect in the investigation.
Yoshita Rajapaksa, the second son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, was arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department earlier this morning. According to police, the arrest was made under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Statements were recorded from the suspect following the arrest. Yoshita Rajapaksa, who was later summoned to the Criminal Investigation Department, was questioned for nearly 4 hours. Rajapaksa was apprehended in connection with the purchase of a residence and a plot of land in Ratmalana for 34 million rupees. Police said that the documents related to an investigation under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act No. 5 of 2006 regarding the way in which the funds for the relevant transaction were obtained were forwarded to the Attorney General. Accordingly, police claim that sufficient evidence is available to name Yoshita Rajapaksa as a suspect in the relevant case. Daisy Forrest, the grandmother of Yoshita Rajapaksa, is the primary suspect of the case.
It is fascinating to see how the police have performed their duties so eagerly this morning. They even arrived at the Southern Expressway to arrest my brother in accordance with the directives of the Attorney General. If the police had acted in such a way to combat underworld activities, the 5 murders that took place at the toll booth of the same expressway wouldn't have occurred. The police should act in this way to combat the underworld. Government and the police can enforce the law but shouldn't humiliate themselves in the process.
Yoshita Rajapaksa was produced before House of Additional Magistrate Pavitra Sanjeevani this evening after recording his statements. The suspect was ordered to be remanded until the 27th of January this year.
Meanwhile, former parliamentarian Janaka Wakkumbara asserted that government cannot intimidate former President Mahinda Rajapaksa by arresting his children. Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Defence Aruna Jayasekara claimed that Yoshitha Rajapaksa's arrest was made following thorough legal consideration and aligns with government's commitment to combating corruption. With that, let's take a look at the latest opinions expressed in the political arena.
මේ දැන් පණිවිඩයක් ආවා මොකද්ද යෝෂිත රාජපක්ෂ අධිවේ මාර්ගයේදී අත්අඩංගුවට දැම්මා.
We received news that Yoshitha Rajapaksa has been arrested. I got to know some information that we did not publicize. Some might claim one arrest is not enough and call for the arrest of another suspect. These arrests are made following thorough legal investigations. We can't act arbitrarily like Mervyn Silva. They fear us now. We must go forward. We came into power after chasing away all those who brought destruction upon Sri Lanka. Are we going to give them power? No. Let's say we could not achieve all targets within 6 months. Are we going to give up on power? We won't. We will develop Sri Lanka before we hand over power. We will have to put in a massive effort to stay in power compared to the effort we directed towards coming into power. We cannot give up.
රජය පවත්ව ගන්න, තියාගන්න. ඒක අතාරින්න බෑ.
දැන් ඊයේ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්මයා ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණ මූලික අයිතිවාසිකම් නඩුවක් දැම්මා.
Yesterday, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa filed a fundamental rights petition before the Supreme Court regarding reinstating his security detail. Against this backdrop, Yoshitha Rajapaksa was arrested this morning. If they are attempting to bring his children to court and intimidate him, it is merely a dream, as he will not fear such actions.
ඒක සීනයක් විතරයි. එතුමා බය වෙන්නෙත් නැහැ.
දැනුවත් රාජ්‍ය සම්පත් විනාශ කිරීමේ යුගයේ
The Rajapaksa administration played a main role during the era when state assets were knowingly destroyed. This resulted in Sri Lanka declaring bankruptcy. What must be done? Should we protect thieves, spending 4.5 million rupees per month and deploying 100 to 200 police and army personnel? Consider South Korea, a developed nation. They imprisoned their president. It is included in the people's mandate that those who destroyed state assets must be punished. That is the people's choice.
රාජ්‍ය දේපල විනාශ කරපු දූෂිතයන්ට විරුද්ධව දඬුවම් දෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක මහජන කැමැත්ත.
It is best if they don't speak of things that they can't achieve. The salary, pension and allowances of the individual holding the presidency can be increased by proposals approved in Parliament. However, it cannot be decreased. The government can save time once they read this. Therefore, it is best if they don't speak of things they cannot do. They can't do this with a 2/3 majority in Parliament or in any other way. It is J.R. Jayawardena who drafted these provisions. It is mentioned in the Act that a former president must be provided with a suitable residence or funds amounting to 1/3 of their pension as rental payments. The relevant act was approved by this parliament. According to the relevant laws, the dimensions of his residence are very clearly comparable with 1/3 of his pension.
ඉතින් ඒක මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ සම්මත කරපු පනත.
පිරිපුන් ජීවිතයකට ඔබ සමගින් පෙරට Union Assurance.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
චන්දුරුසුනේ කාගෙන් මනාපේ සිංහ TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්.
Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Responsibility to look after our health.
The best nutritional supplement for diabetic patients with no added sugar. Maliban Vitagen. Stay healthy for a good reason.
Minister of Health and Mass Media Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa assured that government has not made a decision to cancel the agreements with India's Adani Group regarding wind energy projects in Sri Lanka. Speaking at a government media conference today, the minister claimed that government will amend the agreements on the projects in the best interest of Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, commenting on former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's potential eviction from his official residence, the minister claimed that the constitution does not guarantee residences for former heads of state.
මේ අවුරුද්දේ ජනවාරි මාසේ 15 වෙනිදා බදාදා දවසක
A viral video in which a tourist criticized the current administration for interrupting a DJ party in the Polhane area in Matara and ending it abruptly at 10 p.m. is currently circulating on social media. The relevant incident occurred last Wednesday, the 15th of January. This tourist also claimed that these actions will massively impact the country's tourism sector. However, I would like to clarify that the decision to end entertainment events by 10 p.m. is not a decision taken by the incumbent president or the current administration. The Supreme Court issued a ruling that the emission of noise by the use of amplifiers and loudspeakers which causes annoyance to people in the vicinity is considered a public nuisance. The relevant ruling was issued in 2005. However, in 2010, a review was conducted in this regard and several amendments were made. Accordingly, such parties can only last till 10 p.m. from Monday to Thursday, while these events can continue until 1 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays and until 12:30 a.m. on Sundays as per the court decision. Thereby, the police have acted in compliance with the Supreme Court ruling issued in 2005 and 2010. At a time when the tourism sector is expanding, the Minister of Public Security has already commenced discussions on amending the relevant court ruling in a way that is beneficial for tourists as well as the general public. However, the relevant task may take some time.
තීන්දුව යලි සලකා බලන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එක පිළිබඳව යම් සංශෝධනයක් සිදු කරගන්න. මොකද ඒකට යම් දින කිහිපයක් සති කිහිපයක් ගත වේවි. අදානි සමූහය සමග පුනරීන් සහ මන්නාරම.
Meanwhile, false reports are circulating claiming that the government has called off the agreement with India's Adani Group regarding wind energy projects in Mannar and Punarin. The Adani Group has also addressed these concerns. Government has also not taken such a decision to cancel the wind energy projects with the Adani Group. 5 cases related to this matter are before the courts, with one scheduled to be heard in May. However, as a government, we have decided to review them. A committee has been appointed for this purpose. Our objective is to implement these agreements in a manner that is more beneficial for the energy sector and the people of the country, not to cancel them.
වඩා වාසනාවක වන ආකාරයට සමාලෝචනය කිරීම සඳහා තමයි අපි කමිටුවක් පත් කළා.
හිටපු ජනාධිපති මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහතාට දීලා තිබුණ නිවසේ දැන් වර්තමාන තත්ත්වය කොහොමද කියලා මට දැනගන්න.
ඒගොල්ලෝ හිතාමතාම
They are purposely misleading the general public, claiming that former presidents are guaranteed a residence by the constitution. I request Namal Rajapaksa to show us the relevant section in the constitution because we are not aware of such a provision in the constitution.
නිවසක් දෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ අපි දන්න ව්‍යවස්ථාවක නම් එහෙම එකක් නෑ.
හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරයා FR එක ෆයිල් කරලා තියෙනවා.
උන් කියන්නේ LTT එක නැති වෙලා නැහැ. තාම LTT එක ඒක නෙමෙයි. එහෙම තර්ජන තියෙනවා කියලා. එහෙම ආරක්ෂක ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවද කියන එක ඇත්ත ප්‍රශ්නේ එතන.
රට පැත්තෙන් හොඳ නඩුවක් වේවි. මොකද
This is an interesting allegation. If Mahinda Rajapaksa and his supporters have any information pertaining to the revival of a terrorist group in the country that the country's intelligence agencies are not aware of, those claims should be addressed before the courts and informed to the public. This is crucial for the national security of the country. Somebody even said that drone attacks might also be launched. He has been provided with 60 armed security personnel. Let's remain patient till the court issues its ruling.
ආයුධ සන්නද්ධ කණ්ඩායමක් අපි බලමු ඉතින් අධිකරණය මොකක්ද ලබා දෙන තීන්දුව කියලා.
Ambassador of Switzerland to Sri Lanka, Dr. Siri Wolt, assured Switzerland's support in recovering assets that have been moved out of Sri Lanka. Ambassador Wolt made these statements during a meeting with Secretary to the President, Dr. Nantika Sanatkumar Naika, at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. During discussions, the Swiss ambassador provided guidance on the international measures required for reclaiming such assets and expressed Switzerland's readiness to extend its support whenever necessary by providing essential resources and assistance. The discussion also focused on utilizing Switzerland's expertise and technical knowledge to assist Sri Lanka's ongoing anti-corruption initiatives. The Swiss government reiterated its commitment to providing technical and financial support for Sri Lanka's priority programs, including the Clean Sri Lanka initiatives. Additionally, the ambassador expressed Switzerland's commitment to supporting Sri Lanka in addressing social challenges, promoting national reconciliation, and assisting with the development of the northern region through necessary aid and resources.
Fast track your career from O levels with eSoft.
ඩයබටිසෝල් සීනි වලින් පරිස්සම් වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
ප්‍රයිම් ගෲප් ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට හඳුන්වා දෙන ලෑන්ඩ් ලීසින් ලේසියෙන් මීටමක්.
Single 1111 up to 60% off from the 11th November to the 17th of November.
Kalani wire කිසිගින්නක් නෑ.
කිසිගින්නක් නෑ. Kalani Fire Shield Wire.
Deputy Minister of Digital Economy Eranga Weeraratne affirmed government's commitment to implementing the Digital National Identity Card program, highlighting its importance in the broader digitalisation of Sri Lanka, which he said is one of government's top priorities. Addressing an session on the digital ID, the Deputy Minister went on to say that it is imperative that every Sri Lankan be informed with regard to the digital ID and assured that government will be transparent regarding its implementation with a view initiative to dispel misconceptions. The Electronic National Identity Card project commenced in 2012 with the aim of issuing a unique digital ID to every Sri Lankan over the age of 15, comprising biodata and biometric data. However, recently various parties alleged that government had handed over the collection of biometric data for the digital ID to an Indian firm and raised concerns over India potentially having access to Sri Lankans' biometric data. Against such a backdrop, an awareness program to introduce the process and discuss issues related to the Electronic National Identity Card was held yesterday at the Information and Communication Technology Agency in Colombo under the patronage of Deputy Minister of Digital Economy Eranga Weeraratne.
The present government, what we believe is that real development of this country will happen through digitalization. So His Excellency President's top 3 main agendas for his 5-year term contains digitalization. So that's the priority that we are giving. So in that digitalization journey, digital ID plays a key role because it's the foundational key block of the digitalization platforms and the architecture that we are going to build for Sri Lanka. On top of that, we will build digital payments as well as digital trade. So to identify the person uniquely, to avoid any misuse of digital services, to avoid frauds happening, digital ID is a must. And therefore, even though it's been in the discussion since 2012, we are going to put a stop to all those talks only but no work. And this time we are going to really get into implementing that. Therefore, we need all persons in this country to understand what digital ID is, as well as get the opinion from the digital industry and the various other industries who are actually going to participate in this whole process of digitalization. It's not just few people trying to come here and then try to implement digital ID. It's a national initiative. This country needs that very badly. Of course, a few people may be out there who may not understand the technology or the workings of digital ID and may be thinking it negatively. But we are here to explain and also transparently tell you what it is and how we are going to implement it.
The Consumer Affairs Authority conducted raids today in Ratmalana and Hambantota to identify rice traders selling rice at prices exceeding the maximum retail price. The authority stated that the minimum fine for overcharging for rice is 100,000 rupees and added that raids will continue to be conducted across the island.
Officials of the Consumer Affairs Authority conducted nighttime raids at the Ratmalana Economic Centre yesterday. During the raids, several traders who were selling rice at prices exceeding the maximum retail price were detected and the Consumer Affairs Authority initiated legal action against them. The Consumer Affairs Authority has stated that the minimum fine for the offence of overcharging for rice is 100,000 rupees and that raids will be conducted at supermarkets and retail stores to identify violations of pricing regulations. Accordingly, raids were also conducted today in Hambantota to detect traders selling rice at prices above the maximum price.
Our authority conducted special raids in Hambantota today with 5 groups of officials. We saw how small-scale mill owners have bought red raw rice and are selling it to local consumers for over 300 rupees a kilo. The Consumer Affairs Authority would like to inform mill owners that they should purchase paddy in accordance with the gazette that was issued by the Consumer Affairs Authority and only buy rice at a price that would allow them to sell at the maximum retail price. We would also request that rice traders keep a separate bill from mill owners who supply rice to them. If they do not have that information, we would likely take legal action against them. The President's Fund is set to launch a new initiative to deliver services at the regional level through the offices of the divisional secretaries. Previously, the official work of the President's Fund was limited to the Colombo area. However, under this new initiative, these services will be extended nationwide through 341 sub-offices established at divisional secretary offices across the country. The relevant pilot projects for 5 selected divisional secretary offices are already operational, and the full-scale implementation of the new service model will begin nationwide on the 7th of February. This initiative was announced during a virtual meeting held today at the President's office to brief divisional secretaries about the new approach to the President's Fund services. Through this system, anyone can request financial assistance from the President's Fund at their local divisional secretary office, and the necessary documentation can be submitted there as well. Commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force, Air Marshal Udeni Rajapaksa, is slated to retire on the 29th of January. Air Marshal Rajapaksa, who is currently serving on an extension, is the 19th Commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force. The new government made a policy decision not to grant service extensions to Triforce's officers beyond the 31st of December 2024, which has led to Air Marshal Rajapaksa's impending retirement. Following the retirement of the 19th Air Force Commander, Air Vice Marshal Vasubandhu Edirisinghe is tipped to be appointed as the new commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force. Air Vice Marshal Edirisinghe is currently serving as the Director General of Planning of the Air Force. And with that, here's a look at some more local news across the island in brief.
The police special task force arrested a 29-year-old individual in Mount Lavinia today who was in possession of 3 kilograms of hashish worth 15 million rupees along with other narcotics. The suspect was identified as a close associate of the underworld figure known by the alias Keselwatte Indika and has been involved in the drug trade at the Magazine prison. During the arrest, Mount Lavinia police also seized an air pistol and 2 swords. Meanwhile, a lorry transporting wood veered off the Kandy Mahayangane main road in the Hasalaka area today. An individual who was trapped in the lorry was extracted after an hour-long operation. However, the individual had passed away at the time of hospitalization. Meanwhile, local residents took steps to hospitalize another person who fell off the lorry. In other local news, a 3-wheeler collided with a motorcycle today on the Colombo-Batikalo road in Balangoda. Both the driver of the 3-wheeler and the rider of the motorcycle who were injured during the incident were hospitalized.
Welcome back. The 76th edition of Derana's series of medical clinics was held in Galnava, Anuradhapura today with Leeson's Hospital Ragama as the main sponsor of the campaign. The program, which included free of charge eye examinations, blood tests and a women's health clinic, saw the participation of many residents of Galnava.
The 76th edition of Derana series of medical clinics was conducted today at Galnava Primary School in Anuradhapura. Leeson's Hospital Ragama was the main sponsor of the clinic, which saw the participation of many local residents. The program included blood tests and a women's health clinic. The Sri Lanka Eye Donation Society conducted eye examinations and provided spectacles free of charge. The Sri Lanka Eye Donation Society will also be conducting surgeries free of charge for patients with cataracts identified during the examinations. The International Institute of Health Sciences, Cipla Education and Aqualife Waters were the co-sponsors of the clinic, which was organised by the School Development Society of Galnava Primary School and Galnava Police. Concurrent with the clinic, the Department of Registration of Persons provided a 1-day mobile service to provide national identity cards to the residents of Galnava.
The United Kingdom's Trade Commissioner for South Asia, Harjinder Kang, recently embarked on his inaugural visit to Sri Lanka. The 3-day official visit spanned from the 21st to the 23rd of January. During his visit, UK Trade Commissioner Kang met with Sri Lanka's Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development, Sunil Handunetti, and engaged in discussions focusing on support rendered by Britain to Sri Lankan exporters, encouraging a greater utilisation of the UK's developing countries trading scheme. British High Commissioner for Sri Lanka, Andrew Patrick, also joined the discussion. Meanwhile, Commissioner Harjinder Kang also met with the Sri Lanka Board of Investment and discussed the board's vision for ensuring a positive business climate that reassures novel investors. During his visit, Trade Commissioner Kang also engaged in tours of Sri Lankan branches of UK-based companies. And that's all for tonight. Thank you for joining and have a good night.